Mom texted, "This year is too chaotic. We'll celebrate with you later." I said, "Okay." An hour later, my sister posted photos. Every relative, even the neighbor's dog, wearing Santa ears. My son started crying. I took a picture of the wrapped presents and sent, "Refund in progress." 40 minutes later, Dad was outside, pounding the door, screaming my name. I don't think I've ever felt that kind of anger before, not even when my sister Ashley forgot to invite me to her engagement party, or when my parents told me it was probably for the best that I didn't show up to Thanksgiving just to keep things simple. But this hit different. It was Christmas Eve. Tyler was on the floor building a cardboard gingerbread house, and I was cleaning up the last of the wrapping scraps. I had just placed the final gift under our tree when Mom's text came in. "This year's too chaotic. We'll celebrate with you later." I stared at it, waiting for the rest of the message, an apology, an explanation, something. But that was it. No one called, no one followed up. 10 minutes later, Ashley posted on her story, a boomerang of champagne glasses clinking in Mom and Dad's kitchen. My aunt, my cousin's Uncle Rick, Ashley's boyfriend, holding the baby like he'd been a proud stepdad for years. The house was decked out in garlands and lights. Someone had even dressed the neighbor's stupid Pomeranian in a Santa outfit. Every single person was there except us. I was still staring at my screen when Tyler asked if we were going over soon. I told him no. I kept my voice steady, but something inside me snapped. Not out of sadness, out of pure, white-hot rage. Because what they didn't know was that I went all out this year. I'd been working overtime since September. Late-night office cleanings after my regular job. Skipped every lunch break to save gas. I didn't even buy myself a new coat, but I got them everything they ever said they wanted. For Mom and Dad, the Breville espresso machine they always pointed at in catalogs. I found it on sale and paid it off in chunks. For Ashley, the exact bottle of discontinued perfume she cried about losing 3 years ago. I tracked it down in Italy and paid international shipping. Even Tyler helped me wrap everything with gold paper and velvet ribbons. And they had the nerve to tell me Christmas was too chaotic. I lined all the gifts up on the coffee table, turned the lights on just right, and snapped a photo. I posted it to the family group chat. Caption, "Refund in progress." That was at 6:12 p.m. At 6:53, someone started banging on my door so hard it shook the frame. Tyler ran into the kitchen. I looked through the peephole. It was Dad, yelling my name over and over. I didn't open it. I just stood there, frozen behind the door, heart pounding, not from fear, but from something else. A lifetime of being the afterthought was crawling up my throat. Through the peephole, I watched Dad stomping around like he owned the sidewalk, jabbing his finger at the door, yelling my name like I was some rebellious teenager instead of his daughter. A single mom raising his grandson, mostly alone. "Helen, open the door, come on." He tried the handle, then again, then both fists slamming the wood hard enough I thought he'd splinter it. I stepped back. "Open the damn door, this is insane!" Tyler peeked out from his room, eyes wide. I told him to stay put, turn on his show loud, and wait. He nodded and closed the door quietly. He didn't ask what was going on. He didn't need to. My phone wouldn't stop vibrating. Dad, Ashley, even Uncle Rick. People who hadn't texted me back in months were suddenly lighting up my screen. I opened the group chat out of sheer curiosity. "Ashley, what the hell is going on?" Mom, "Helen, sweetheart, we didn't mean it like that." Then a call from Dad, declined. Then another. I watched him through the peephole again. He was on the phone, pacing, red-faced, shouting. A neighbor from 2 houses down came out with a trash bag and froze for a second, probably wondering if he should call the cops. I kind of hoped he would. I went to the living room, sat down, and looked at the coffee table. The presents were still there, wrapped perfectly. That espresso machine. I'd even bought the extra frothing wand attachment because Dad once mentioned he liked lattes better than plain coffee. The perfume for Ashley, still in its box from Italy, unopened. My hands were shaking. I snapped a second picture. This time I added the receipts, laid them out across the table like exhibit evidence. I sent it to the family chat with one line. "Returning everything tomorrow. Don't contact me." Then I muted the group. I didn't expect silence, but it hit hard anyway. 3 minutes passed, then 5. Then Mom tried calling. I ignored it. Then Ashley's text lit up my screen. "You're seriously doing this over one party, right?" One party. Just like Thanksgiving was too tight this year. Just like Tyler's birthday was bad timing with Ashley's weekend trip. Just like every other event I wasn't invited to because things were complicated. One party, the last 20 parties, all of them. I blocked her. Then Dad. Then Uncle Rick. One message came through before the block hit. Unbelievable. What's actually unbelievable is that it took me this long to finally say it. They were never going to include me, and now they were going to learn what it felt like to be excluded. The next morning was quiet, not peaceful quiet, just that eerie kind where something's brewing, but nobody's saying anything. Tyler woke up early and padded out in his slippers, half expecting me to say it was time to head to Grandma's. I told him we were staying home this year. He didn't argue, but he didn't smile either. I gave him his gifts. He'd been wanting a dinosaur excavation kit and a secondhand Nintendo Switch I scored from a coworker. He loved them. But there was a heaviness in the air that no gift could fix. It wasn't about the toys. It was the feeling of being left out. Kids can feel that kind of thing. By mid-morning, the text started again. Mom, can we come by? Just to talk. From Dad, nothing, which was honestly worse. I left the messages unread. Around 1:00 p.m., the doorbell rang. I checked the peephole again. Mom was standing there with a Tupperware container in her hands wrapped in foil, probably her famous stuffing, probably meant to show how sorry she was, like food could undo what they did. I didn't open the door. I watched her wait a full 5 minutes. Then she left it on the porch and walked back to the car slowly, like she wanted me to feel guilty. I didn't. I picked up the container and threw it in the trash. They didn't get it. Not really. They thought this was a tantrum, a dramatic overreaction. But they didn't see the last 6 years from my side. They didn't see me juggling 2 jobs, skipping meals so Tyler could eat more. They didn't see how I sat alone at Christmas 2 years ago while they toasted champagne at Ashley's new condo. I told them more than once how it made me feel. I wasn't quiet about it, but somehow, every time, I was either too sensitive or misunderstanding the situation. So I decided to stop explaining myself. I boxed up the gifts later that evening, brought them all back to the stores over the next 2 days. The espresso machine was the easiest. The woman at the return desk even complimented how well I kept the packaging. The perfume took a little longer to ship back, but it was fine. I got every penny back. I started putting the money into a savings account I'd been building for Tyler's summer camp. And just like that, the guilt vanished. Until the next message came in on the 27th, this time from Ashley. You think you're the only one struggling? You just made everything worse. You embarrassed Mom and Dad. They're furious. Honestly, don't expect any of us to forget this. I almost laughed. They were furious. Good. I didn't respond to Ashley. Didn't even screenshot it. Just stared at the message, shook my head, and let it sit there like some rotting fruit. I knew she'd try again. She always did. Her words were just ash at this point. But still, something about the line, "Don't expect any of us to forget this," felt darker than usual, like a warning. That night, I locked the doors twice. The next morning, Tyler and I were out walking the trail near our apartment complex. It had finally snowed, thick and powdery, the kind kids go nuts over. He brought his sled, and I watched him race down the hill while sipping cheap gas station coffee. It was one of the few moments that felt normal, until I got back to the parking lot and saw the envelope on my windshield. No stamp, just my name handwritten in blue ink. Inside were 2 things: a folded printout of my return confirmation for the espresso machine and a note. "You went too far. This will catch up to you." I froze. Who the hell prints return receipts from someone else's account? I'd used my personal email, my own login. The receipt wasn't something I'd posted anywhere. I hadn't even told anyone which store I bought it from. I looked around the lot. No one suspicious. Just 2 teenagers building a snowman near the leasing office and an older woman walking her dog. Still, my skin prickled. Back inside, I locked everything. Windows, door, deadbolt, even closed the blinds. Then I opened my email. Someone had tried to access my inbox at 3:42 a.m. the night before, a failed login attempt from a location 2 towns over. I changed every password I had and enabled 2-factor authentication on everything. At first, I thought maybe it was just a scare tactic, a weird Ashley stunt, but even she wouldn't go that far. Then that evening, a notification popped up on my phone from the savings account I'd opened for Tyler. New login detected. I hadn't logged in since Christmas Day. I called the bank immediately, reported it, locked the account, and had the funds frozen. Nothing had been withdrawn yet. Whoever it was had only gotten far enough to view the balance. That's when I realized they were digging, watching, maybe even talking about me in some group chat I wasn't part of anymore. I didn't text anyone about it, not even to warn them I knew. Let them spin their wheels, let them guess how much I knew. That night, I opened a new account at a credit union, transferred every cent from the old one, and scheduled a consultation with a lawyer I knew from work just in case. I wasn't scared, but I wasn't stupid either. I was done playing nice. New Year's Eve came with a blizzard warning. While most people were out scrambling for last-minute champagne, I was in the kitchen making boxed mac and cheese with Tyler. We were planning a movie night, just the two of us, popcorn and pajamas. That's when someone started pounding on the door again, not knocking. Pounding. I didn't even have to check. I already knew who it was. I cracked the door an inch. Dad stood there, red-cheeked from the cold, eyes wild. Behind him was Ashley, bundled in her designer parka, arms crossed tight across her chest, like she was doing me some huge favor just being here. Dad didn't wait for permission. He shoved the door open and stepped inside. "We need to talk now." I stepped in front of Tyler before he could walk into the hallway, told him to go to his room again. He didn't argue this time. The tone was different. Ashley was looking around my apartment like she'd just walked into a crime scene. "You got some nerve, Helen," she said. "Seriously, you blocked us, returned everything, and now Mom's been crying for days. You made her feel like garbage." I shut the door and leaned against it. "Come on." I wasn't rising to it. Then Dad said something that stopped me cold. "We know you tried to hide the money." I blinked. "What?" "You transferred it. We saw the notification. Mom's friend works at the bank." He said it like I'd been caught embezzling, like I didn't have the right to keep the money I earned, like I hadn't just barely managed to scrape it together after cleaning office toilets at 11 p.m. 3 nights a week. "You had no right to go through my financials," I said. Ashley rolled her eyes. "You've been overreacting to everything. You humiliated the whole family, and now you're acting like the victim." I should have stopped there, should have told them to leave, but I didn't. I let it out. Everything. I told them how tired I was of pretending it didn't hurt, of watching Tyler get pushed aside every time Ashley's new life needed center stage. I reminded them of the birthdays, the holidays, the weekends I spent wondering what I did wrong. I told them I went broke trying to give them a reason to care, and when they finally had the chance to prove me wrong, they locked me out again. "You chose chaos. Fine. Now you get silence." Dad didn't say a word. Ashley's lip curled like she was going to fire back, but I beat her to it. "And for the record, tell Mom I know she lied about inviting me last year. You said it was a mistake. I checked her calendar. The event was titled, 'No Helen this time.'" That shut her up. They both stood there for a second, not knowing what to do. Like for the first time, they were seeing me clearly. Not as the screw-up, not as the afterthought, but as the one who finally drew a line and meant it. I opened the door. "You can go now. Happy New Year." They left. And that night, as fireworks popped outside our window and Tyler fell asleep on the couch, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. 2 weeks of silence. Not even a passive-aggressive text. Not a meme from Uncle Rick. Not a "hope you're well" from Mom. Nothing. And I expected that. I knew that if I called them out, really truly said what I'd been holding back for years, there'd be consequences. But what I didn't expect was how calm I felt. For once, there were no guessing games. No pretending, just quiet. Tyler was happier too. He stopped asking if Grandma was coming over, stopped checking the front window like he had after Christmas. We built a routine, movie nights, mini science projects. I taught him how to bake banana bread. I even found a weekend job I could do from home, something small, but enough to keep padding the summer savings account. And then, a Sunday morning in mid-January, it happened. A soft knock on the door, not the angry kind, not impatient. I peeked through the peephole. It was Mom, alone, hair tied back, no makeup, wearing the winter coat I bought her 5 years ago that she never once wore in front of me. She was holding 2 coffees. I opened the door but didn't say anything. She didn't either. She just handed me one of the cups. It had my name on it, written in thick black marker, like she'd asked the barista to make sure it was visible. We stood there in awkward silence for a second. Then she asked if she could come in. We sat at the kitchen table, same place where I'd laid out all those wrapped gifts a month ago. She didn't make small talk. She just stared at her coffee and said very plainly, "We were wrong. All of it." I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. She talked. She said she didn't realize how badly they'd made me feel, that they thought I was just busy all the time, that they assumed I was okay with doing things separately because I never raised hell about it. She said she didn't know how to admit that sometimes it was easier for them to not invite me than to deal with the awkwardness of everything. Then she said something I didn't expect. She said, "I was jealous of you." I laughed, thought she was joking, but she wasn't. "You always bounced back, Helen, even when things were awful, And I hated that you didn't need us the way Ashley did. I didn't cry. I don't know why, but I didn't. I just told her I never wanted them to fix things with gifts or grand gestures. I just wanted them to show up for me, for Tyler. That night, Dad called. He didn't go into some big speech. He just said he'd been thinking a lot, and that if I wanted him to come over and shovel the walkway, he was happy to. And if not, he understood. I told him to come by Tuesday. He did, no drama, no guilt. The next week, a package arrived. No sender listed. Inside was the exact Lego dinosaur excavation set Tyler wanted but didn't get for Christmas, the one we couldn't afford at the time. Tucked inside was a sticky note. Tell the little guy he deserves all the joy in the world. The handwriting was Ashley's. No message to me, no apology. But I didn't need one, not yet. That was her version of reaching out, and maybe that was all she could manage for now. By early February, we had dinner at Mom and Dad's. Just us. No crowd, no noise. They actually asked Tyler about school, about his drawings. They laughed at his dinosaur facts. And when we were leaving, Mom gave me an envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter. No cash, no gift card, just her trying. She told me she wished she'd listened sooner. She told me she missed her daughter. And for the first time in a long time, I believed her. By the time March rolled around, Tyler and I had a new plan. We were going to Florida for spring break. I booked the flights with the money I'd saved from the returned gifts, plus a bonus I got from work. I told Mom and Dad we'd send pictures. They said they'd be waiting.